In this episode, we're talking about a game where you gotta keep a close eye on those pesky peasants. It's The King is Watching. This and more on Indie Game Arcade. Hey everyone, and welcome to Indie Game Arcade, a podcast that deep dives into the latest and greatest indie games. My name is Chris.
I'm Joseph.
Joseph, how paranoid do you get about Big Brother watching your every move?
Not at all. Honestly, I've even thought about it like I just don't do anything like that interesting that anyone would even want to keep an eye on me. Like I've got nothing crazy going on.
You've never had those Truman Show type delusions, like
No, it just doesn't concern me. I'm like, fine. If you want to watch me, like, scratch my butt and like play video games, you're welcome to. But I got nothing nefarious going on over here.
Well, here's the thing: the king is watching. We know this. We know this now. So you better get to work because we need to build up our kingdom, Joseph. So get to work.
This game does remind me of work sometimes, where it's like, if the boss isn't like over your shoulder, like sometimes people just don't do anything. They're just on their phones until they see someone walk by and they're like, oh, I better like pretend I'm working.
Absolutely.
Come on.
So let's go ahead and talk about it. So The King is Watching was released on July 21st, 2025, developed by Hypnohead, published by Tiny Build. Tiny Build has a huge sale going on right now, which is, okay, that's the rabbit hole that sent me down before we started this episode. I found this game called Sockventure, which is like a precision platformer, semi like Celeste and stuff. And I sent it to him and he was like, all right, fine, I guess I'll buy it. And that's how I got there.
It took about 2 minutes of me deliberating, saying like, well, I don't know, it might be this, it might be that. And then like talking about how like, well, I don't really want to like spend too much money on games. I buy too many games, to like seeing it was on sale for 80% off. And then seeing it's like, oh, 200 levels. This is like a meaty experience. And then like, okay, I'm in. It's in my cart.
Yeah. Now you're buying it. Yeah. So it was part of that publisher sale where like it said like things are up to 80% off. It's the Everything Must Go sale. It runs through August 8th from Tiny Build. But anyway, I'm getting off track here. For a quick description of The King is Watching, this is a roguelike kingdom builder. We talked about a little bit on the last week's episode. So you are ruling by the power of your royal gaze, deciding between producing resources, training your army, or trying to balance both while adapting to unique events and things like that happen during your runs. So it's like your folks aren't going to be working usually unless you are like watching them and making sure
literally have your eyes on them.
Yeah, like literal eyes. Like there's actually like an eye on the screen. So this is one that I haven't gotten a chance to play yet because I played too many other games. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and dive into this, man.
So this one is one that I had mentioned last episode in that like I jumped into 1 or 2 rounds and was like, I think this is going to be something I get really into. And it was because it's like it. So on the surface, it's an RTS, so a real-time strategy game. But the fact that it is a roguelike RTS and is sort of it's kind of like dark fantasy, I guess high fantasy. Like it's got like mythical creatures like dragons, griffins, things like that in it that you can also like recruit to your army after a while. So what you're doing is so you've got a grid of like 5 by 5, and some of those are taken up by different like just like civilian like houses, things like just like city hall kind of deals, whatever, just public buildings. Those are things that's part of the meta progression of it is like you can eventually get those like steadily like taken out where you have the full 5 by 5 grid. Initially, you're working with a 4 by 4 grid. And so that's where it's like you're missing a lot of like space that you could be taking advantage of. That's something you're working towards, like getting that full castle to work with. But in the actual like gameplay, at least initially, you can choose one king and he has a certain, like there are certain passive abilities each different king has. I think there might be a total of 8 or something. And those are also unlocked through meta progression, through the things you're getting, the currency you get from actually like playing around, whether you win or lose it. Like you're still getting some of that currency for the meta progression. So I guess that's a rogue light in that sense, if you want to be like really technical about it. What you're doing is putting down different sorts of things to gather resources and to use those resources to then build different things to recruit troops or just like maximize the defense of your castle, or like get spells that your king is able to cast while in battle or outside of battle, depending on what the spell is. And all those things will be like stringing together to help you survive over the course of, I don't know how many like days it is in game time, but it's really like you've got a total of maybe like through 18 rounds or so. And the rounds like go by quick, and you can see like during like the production phase of you just like gathering resources, you can fast forward at the top of the screen. So you don't have to like be waiting if there's no battle going on and you're literally just waiting to gather enough gold to build the next thing. You can fast forward the actual production side so that you can just like zip through that and let that gather if you're not trying to build anything between. So there's some of those things that are making it a lot more user friendly of an RTS, and it's not just like playing the waiting game. And the whole like crux of that, the whole like novel aspect of this game, the king is watching, as the name suggests, is you are literally only the things that you have your eyes on, which in this case, it starts out as like a 3 square sort of like angled thing, and only things within those 3 squares will be active. So that includes your resource gathering, that includes your unit production, everything. So you're having to even though the battles themselves are automated, or not automated, what is it called? Well, they just happen
like
automatically. Whatever
kind of.
It's kind of like idle, but it's just like so they're just like an auto battler. That's what I was thinking of. Okay. So it's an auto battler in that sense, but your portion of it is building everything and, moving your little gaze, the king's gaze, I think it's called, around to make sure that the right things are producing at the right time and that you are prepared when the waves come. And it shows you at the top of your screen via like these different flags, like what waves of enemies are coming and how far they are away from you. So you know if you have time to like, okay, it's going to be a while until the next wave hits. I need to just like go into mass production mode here and really like maximize my resources so that I can build enough to win that wave. So when that wave gets here, I'll be prepared. And so it's consciously thinking of that, but not just in a way where it's like, I build this many buildings, I can just wait. You have to constantly be moving your gaze around so that you are able to be doing the right things at the right time. That's where the action comes in. That's where the excitement comes in. And also that's where it gets a little nerve-wracking sometimes. You can also, in the game, via resources, increase your max army size and your king's actual gaze size. Like I said, it starts as like 3 squares and you can turn it into, I think, a total of 6 squares, which makes a huge difference because then you're covering so much more of your actual castle and all the buildings inside of it that you're able to produce much more efficiently the more you have. So it's like trying to work towards increasing your gauge or your gaze size while also trying to make sure you're not neglecting everything else you have to be doing. So it's a little bit nerve-wracking at times, but it is really satisfying. And the amount of like build crafting you can do inside of it, even with some of the RNG aspects of it, like you might not, even if you want to say like, okay, I want to just be like a complete run of, I don't know, assassins or something. That doesn't mean you're going to get the assassin building. So you have to... Okay. You have to like lean into whatever RNG is offering you while also trying to maximize the potential of that. One of the fun runs I did, it didn't work out, but I was just curious if I could, is like the starting unit you'll get, at least with this first king, or the starting little like troop things you get are peasants. And so like I tried to just like build a mass amount, just focus completely on peasants and see if I could like maximize, like send out an army of peasants to just take on the entire, like every force that came at me. And it was working for a while. And I think like if I had gotten the right sort of like troop power ups in the process, I might have been able to do it or pull it off. But like I eventually, like they just got torn up by one of the like harder waves of enemies. And it was a fun experiment, at least, to just have so many peasants out there that were getting various buffs from whatever castle stuff I built, because peasants are super cheap to build. So it's almost like if you think about StarCraft, it's like a Zerg rush, where it's like those are just super cheap small units and they don't do a ton of damage, but in mass, like they can really do a lot. So that was just my peasant rush of like having just a horde of peasants going at the enemies that were as powered up as I could get them at the time. They couldn't quite pull it off, but I think that doesn't mean that they can't. And that's what's exciting about it, is like you can do those like weird kind of runs and really kind of lean into certain things if you want to. And I just appreciate that you're able to experiment so much with that. And that's what keeps it exciting for me. Played a couple more rounds yesterday. I won one of the rounds and then I lost the other one because I tried to do that was the one I tried to do full peasants and it didn't work out for me, but it was still a fun going through it. And like I said, you still get some of the meta progression currency from that. So it's not like it was just wasted time.
Can you explain, is there like, so when you start playing and stuff like that, are you customizing your run based on just kind of the RNG and sort of the upgrades and stuff only, or are there like different like kings that you play as that have different abilities or anything?
Yeah, so there's a lot to that where it's like I haven't like experienced or unlocked everything yet that I can do, because so there are areas where you can do these like quests for your kings that it's like, okay, after I do this quest, then the kings start getting abilities up to like 3 different abilities that are on some kind of cooldown. I don't have any king abilities yet. So I'm just playing this game at like really surface level right now.
Yeah.
But there is so much more to it. And each king out of like the maybe 8 kings or so has those 3 different abilities, but they also have to complete their little individual quests to get those abilities. So there's a lot to unlock there.
That's interesting.
Just like with like any roguelike, right? There's the difficulty modifiers you can continue adding. After I beat my first run, it's like, okay, well now you can increase the difficulty a little bit and like push it to the next level. Yeah. Add the curses or whatever to it.
Oh man.
There's always that. And I understand that because that makes sense, because it's like, how else are you going to like push this game to last any longer than a single run? Well, that's like, you have to add some modifiers to it to make it a little more challenging. So your first run's going to be the easiest, obviously, and it's going to get progressively more challenging, but it's also still fun for me. And the fact that there's so much that I just haven't even explored yet is just really exciting. And there's units where it's like, I didn't even know existed in here because they're like more advanced buildings that I might be able to like unlock later on. So I saw that there's like a dragon, like a nest or something. I'm like, holy crap. But I wasn't building towards that at the time and didn't have the right resources for it. So I was like, well, I don't want to get this building because I don't think I'll ever be able to actually build it and utilize any of these dragons. But the fact that those are there at all is just a cool idea. There was some druid buildings that I unlocked where it's like, I didn't use any of them yet, but I found one of them in one of my runs where it was like, okay, if you keep this druid out for 27 seconds, it was Druid of the Bear, he will turn into a bear and become more powerful and more blah, 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 whatever, have more health, etc., better stats. But he resets back, or he turns back to regular druid form after each battle. So that means that like each wave, he's going to have to at least be out for 27 seconds before he really maximizes his potential. And that's kind of neat because like there was a bunch of different druids that I saw that probably all have mechanics like that. And I bet there are some like additional power-ups you can give each of these or units that is like minimizes the time that it takes them to turn or something like that, or like makes them turn multiple times or stay in bear form for multiple battles, something like that. And that's just a cool kind of like idea to me, and something that like each troop does also have like multiple upgrades that they can get that again are not something you can absolutely find, but it's things it will only show you upgrades in the little like either merchant shop or rewards for units that you actually are able to build. May not be units that you have out right now, but it won't give you any kind of upgrades for units that you don't have at all. So that is at least a friendly thing that's doing, where it's not just like, here's makes your dragons 10 times stronger. It's like, well, I don't have dragons. This sucks. And this is a waste of space. So it's like, okay, cool. It's giving me things specifically for the units I at least have or can build, even if I don't have them out on the field right now. So there's a lot to it. And again, I've only like really scratched the surface of it. I've played maybe 4 rounds of this, and each of the rounds, like it can last a little while, like 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how much you're fast forwarding through. Your first couple runs, your first run at least, is going to be like probably garbage. I know mine was, because I didn't understand what was happening. It was all moving like at too fast a pace for me to really like discern what was going on. But after like 2 or 3 runs, I'm like, okay, like now I understand the flow of this, so I can actually start thinking about what's going to come and how I can prepare for the next wave of things. Right. And that's when it really started to shine for me, where I was unsure initially. Now I'm like completely like locked in, and this is going to be a game that I keep going back to.
So it's like each king, do they have units that are very specific to them? And then there's like crossover or something? So like when you're talking about like getting the druids and stuff, like does every king have access to the druids, or would it be just like one king?
Yeah, no, every king has access to those things, to my knowledge. There might be, and this is just me speculating, but there might be kings that like have specific units that like spawn immediately for them or something, or maybe get more powerful with them in the lead. Right. But as far as I know, like units are not necessarily king specific. It's more just like how you're trying to build out your kingdom, what sort of units you're going towards, because there are different unit types. So I'll add this as a last kind of thing, is like, there are grunts, which are, so they're basically just like different like keywords of units. There's grunts, which are your peasants or grunts. There are warriors, there are ranged, arcane, which is like more the magic using wizard types, and champion at least. I might be leaving 1 or 2 out, but like those are like the main keywords, and some units can have like a combination of those keywords. Like I've seen ones that were like ranged and warrior. So I think you can have up to 2 of them. And there are power-ups you can get, like unit troop upgrades, where it's like all of your grunts do 15% more damage or have 15% more health. And so it's like, okay, that's where you have to start like thinking about like, I've got a lot of these grunt upgrades or warrior upgrades. I need to start leaning more towards warriors in my army, unless I want to diversify it and start getting upgrades for multiple things so I can pull in more stuff. But that's where it's like the more you start like spreading that out, it spreads a little thin, and you're not really powerful at anything. You're just kind of a jack of all trades, which can work against you in some situations. So that's where more of like the actual micro mechanics start coming in, where it's like, okay, I need to think about these unit upgrades plus what resources I have available and what I am even building towards in the first place. And keeping all that in mind, it's like I can kind of form an optimal army with what I've got going on. And this feels like it's repeatable, not something that right when they die, I don't have the resources to replenish to ever make another one, you know?
Yeah, exactly. This looks like something that I would love to try out on the Steam Deck and see how it runs there.
Well, it is mouse and keyboard only, so probably not good.
I mean, it may be like there's been a few that I've done.
Because you do have like the mouse pad thing on there, right?
Yeah, you've got the pad there. Right on the right side. And there's been a few that have been, said the same thing that have worked just fine. And I haven't had much of a problem with, especially like there's been a few deck builders like that have run just fine. And it hasn't really been too much of an issue.
Okay.
I think the only issue I do have with some of those games is that like, dragging with that like mouse pad, the little thumb pad thing. But then sometimes it's like so sensitive that like moving your thumb around, like trying to drag, it'll like clock a click that you didn't mean to do. Or like, you might not be clicking at all, but it'll, do an input like you clicked, and
it's just one of those really sensitive like tap things instead of like a click.
Yeah, that's been the only issue I've ever had with anything like that with Steam Deck. But I'm sure there's probably a setting to adjust that. I just have not figured it out. But someday. Just a reminder too, there's like 3 really good bundles with this game, so you can get this game bundled with 9 Kings. There's a bundle with Drill Core. There's also a bundle with Loop Hero. So
I think I did the Loop Hero one. I mean, I already had Drill Core and Loop Hero, so I think Loop Hero was the cheapest for me, but they might have been the same price. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah. Personally, for myself, I would do Nine Kings because I really like Nine Kings, but Nine Kings is still early access. So I understand like the want to wait on that one. But having
that
played
is something to note about this game, at least, is it is full release and it feels very full. So
I've played a lot of Nine Kings already, and like that game is just super fun. And that's one that I played a ton on my Steam Deck as well. And pretty sure I had to use the trackpad on that too. And it was fine. I played so much of it.
Okay.
It was
then
great.
I think you'll really like this one. It's like, it's not such a like fast paced strategy that you feel overwhelmed or that you have to move all around the screen. Literally, it's all right there on the screen for you. So as far as RTSs go, it's extremely approachable. I bounce off of RTSs sometimes. Not that I don't like the idea of them, but I'm just not smart enough or quick enough to like keep up with everything and move around the map quick enough.
Exactly.
So having it on a single map like helps my little brain so much, my smooth brain. And I get it. I understand what I need to do. Yeah. And I've been having a lot of fun with it, and I'm excited about the ideas of it. The fact that it is also a high fantasy type thing is exciting to me because I just love the any kind of like you throw in any kind of like magic or mythology into it, and I'm just like super in. And this is one of those where I'm excited to play more.
Hell yeah.
Power up!
Hey, if you're enjoying this episode so far, do us a favor, throw us a like, a follow, share the episode or the podcast with folks who love indie games so we can get more of these game recommendations out there and support indie game devs. We also have a YouTube channel at youtube.com/nerdsloth where you can catch us playing more indie games or check out our top 5 and top 10 series for even more indie game recommendations because we believe there's an indie game out there for everyone.
Combo!
Let's talk about some other indie games we've been playing this week. Joseph, I played a lot of games this week. I don't know how I did it.
I'm a little concerned.
I played so many. The first one I want to mention real quick is Rusty Rangers, which came out on the 31st, developed by Fantastica, but it's got like an exclamation point at the end, so it's got to be like Fantastica, you know? Something like that.
I pulled up the store page and it started playing music at me.
Oh,
It was good music.
Yeah. It's a retro-style 2D action platformer with roguelite and Metroidvania elements to it. So, real quick, this is a very like 90s Saturday morning cartoon kind of feel as far as like the story setup, which like, so it reminds me a little bit of like Centurions meets Mutant League as far as like the world and the characters. And I think like as you see some of the characters and learn about the world, like you'll understand why. So like something happened to this world, which is now kind of like this techno punk sort of hellscape. And you've got this over the top looking bad guy called Baron von Gassenstein.
That feels super 90s.
Yeah, exactly. Who's basically
like
kind of...
This even has sort of a Captain Bucky O'Hare sort of energy to it.
Yeah, I would even say too, like a slight bit of Toxic Crusaders in a way.
Oh, wonderful.
Especially just in the bad guy, like what he looks like and stuff.
And his name,
Yes, the name 100%. So he's basically behind the whole thing, and you are playing as this team of rangers who are trying to stop him, and then you're also unveiling pieces of the world's like fragmented history as you go. So it's mostly like a bit of run and gun while platforming, and like I said, it is somewhat like Metroidvania. Like it's not as fleshed out of a Metroidvania as other games, but there is some of that aspect where you do get to backtrack and like, you know, pick and choose certain, you know, areas you can go to. It's just not every area is like super vast, but like there's definitely a bit to explore. There's 6 characters, each has a different play style and skills, and you're all kind of working from this central hub called the Ranger Shelter while you're like working through these procedurally generated levels. And those take place within like 4 different biomes. So I don't think it's going to be a very long game, but I think that because it's procedurally generated, there's 6 characters, you know, very different. There's over 150 stackable items and power-ups. And it's got like a loot system that's supposed to be pretty similar to like Enter the Gungeon and Neon Abyss. So I think in that there's quite a bit of replayability as far as like different builds and things that you can do with all your characters. For myself, I really like the movement of this game. especially because it's one of those games, and I love this in platformers. And like anyone that builds a platformer, put hooks in your platformers, because I love hooks. I love being able to
grappling hooks.
No, but like, like in the levels, like little hooks on the walls that you can like jump and grab onto and then jump to the next hook and the next hook and traverse upwards.
Yeah.
I love those hooks.
Either give me hooks or give me wall running / jumping.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me full traversal of the level. Don't make me unlock a double jump. Like that takes forever. It always takes way too long. Just have it. Just have it in there.
Yeah. So this one's kind of nice in that you have your jump, and then it's like if you hold A, you jump higher. Which
I like those responsive jumps like that, because it makes me think about like, okay, I've got this distance I need to jump. Do I need to hold it, or can I just like tap it? And I like that conscious decision. That's good.
Yeah, and you've got a dash right away, like a air dash.
Oh, good.
You can, when you're like hanging from like, let's say a hook, you can fire your weapon in any of the 4 cardinal directions, which is kind of cool. So like there's no diagonal, in this as far as aiming and stuff. It's either up, down, left, right.
Yeah.
But it's a cool game, man. Like it feels like a game that like it's definitely has a few of the modern sort of mechanics to it, but it does feel like a game that would have been made back in kind of like the 90s. It has that feel to it, and like the look of it's great. Like I think you said you pulled the page up.
Yeah.
I love the art style of this, and the music is good. It's like really high energy. Gets you pumped to just like run through and blow everything up. There's a lot of like environmental stuff to blow up as you're going through, which is kind of fun. Like lots of like bricks and things you got to blast through to get to the next area. So it's fun.
Is there a demo for it or anything, or it's on sale? I see 10%.
At least there used to be.
Oh, so. Well, not anymore. It looks like so.
Not anymore.
Yeah. No, not at least not on their page. That's man. Sure. Yeah, I'm intrigued. Only 9 reviews too, so it is very much like under the radar of a lot of people. It seems like.
Exactly. Hey man, that's what I'm here for. I'm always looking for those hidden gems.
Yeah, I'm definitely intrigued.
Yeah.
It looks like all 9 reviews are thumbs up, so that's good.
Yeah. If you are a fan of those like campy 90s action cartoons, like we kind of talked about with like Toxic Crusaders and Centurions, Bucky O'Hare.
What was it? Captain Simeon and the Space Monkeys?
Space Monkeys.
Yeah. Oh, love that stuff.
This will be, even Ninja Turtles. This will be one for you.
Oh, sure. I guess that's like the easiest comparison. We were getting all these like weird ones, but yeah.
Hey.
Okay.
Yeah. But like, you know what? Somebody's going to appreciate those like deeper cuts, because I think some of those deeper cuts is going to like feel more akin to what this game was trying to accomplish.
Yeah. And that's what really shines through for me, is when I see those deeper cuts and I'm like, okay, this person like really like knew the source material and is paying like homage to that.
Captain Planet.
Oh,
definitely.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah. Especially in how like grungy some of this stuff is. I love it.
I love that. It's in my cart. That's all I'll say. Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely, it's a tough game too. It's definitely difficult. I think it even has a difficult tag to it. So if you want a challenge, it's a good game.
$13.49 on sale right now. $14.99 normally. So even like $15 max price, like seems like a roguevania, which is a thing I've been seeing lately. So it is a roguelike, you said, in that way?
Yes.
And a light Metroidvania?
Yep.
Okay, right on.
Absolutely. I just real quick.
Yeah.
I just want to be known. Before we started, you were talking about how you were like, yeah, I was thinking about how I need to stop spending so much on games before, I finish all the games I have. And I just want it to be known that like we're 30 minutes in and you have 2 games in your cart right now.
but okay, in my defense, both of those games combined under $20 like total. I think I just need to be more realistic with myself. Be like, I need to not spend more than this amount of money on games like every week. Go. Every week I'm buying new games.
Okay.
So I need to give myself like a game budget.
Yeah. I was talking with some friends the other day, and I was just like, we were talking about Steam and everything, and about like they had just started the shared family library thing. And I was like, they were talking about how many games they had, and I was like, bro, I was like, yeah, that library is not going to touch ours. Trust me.
I put many people to shame with that.
Yeah, I showed them, and then they were just like, oh my God.
I don't know how I'm not broke constantly.
Right? Oh, boy.
Sales. That's why. Steam sales.
It's for the love of indie games. We're supporting all these indie devs is what we're doing.
Even if I never play your game, I'm at least going to buy it probably.
You're supporting it.
Yep.
Yeah. Here's a game, just because you're not super big into horror games. Here's one that I think you can rest assured you probably won't add it to your cart, but this is one that I was having a lot of fun with, even though it scared the crap out of me. This is Heartworm. Heartworm released on July 31st. This was developed by Vincent Adinolfi. I hope I said that right. Adinolfi, maybe. Apologies if I did not. So this is a survival horror game where you're playing as this girl named Sam, struggling with her grandfather's recent death. And then she gets kind of like sucked down this internet rabbit hole of like message boards and like subreddits and whatever else. I say subreddits, but like I think this is supposed to take place a little bit in the past. Kind of learning about this like remote place where like it's rumored that you are able to contact with the dead. And then she essentially is like, you know what? Maybe I can talk to Grandpa again. I'm gonna go there. So she does. This is very much in the vein of Crow Country as far as like look and feel. Very PS1 style.
It looks very
graphics.
Resident Evil like coded.
Yes. Well, yeah, I was going to say that, and very Silent Hill feeling as far as that stuff goes. And actually, I would say also a little bit of what's the one like in the school where you're taking the photos? Is that like Fatal Frame?
Oh yeah, Fatal Frame. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so it's got a little bit of that in it too. Specifically because like that's how the combat works, is that like you're taking photos. So this is very much like in the sense of things like Resident Evil, Silent Hill, Crow Country. Big map exploration puzzle, right? And then combat is you aren't really fighting. You're basically like using your camera to take photos of things, and doing that will either kind of like stun some of these things or like knock them out of whatever they're trying to do, like coming after you or whatever. Doesn't always work. And sometimes it's easy with some of the slow moving things, not so easy with stuff that move fast, like giant spiders that I didn't expect to show up, and that scared the crap out of me. So it's a super creepy vibe, especially I think the thing that really got under my skin was the sound effects. Especially you get to this neighborhood pretty quickly, like your grandparents' old neighborhood. And like, I couldn't tell if this was like something happening in her mind or if you're physically in your grandparents' neighborhood, just because of the weirdness of the game. But like all of a sudden there's like these like beings that they look like humans, like human shaped, but they're just made of static, and they're just constantly like walking after you. And like the sounds that they make when they're close to you, like, oh man, I was cringing so hard. It creeped me out so bad. But with all that said, because I think this is a really cool game and I enjoyed this experience, there's something that really bugged me, which is that I don't like the mix of mostly it's like over the shoulder camera, but it's also mixed with like fixed camera angles. So let's say you might be running in third person view, right? And then you get to a point on the map where it does like a cut, and then you're seeing this like bird's eye view or something at like a high angle that is no longer tracking you. It's like something static. But when that happens, that really disorients you. So immediately you end up like walking backwards by accident, or you're just completely turned around and like you're not sure which way to go. That got super frustrating, especially when stuff is chasing you down. I mentioned that about another game that we reviewed months ago, and I can't remember what game that was. But like, you can't break momentum like that, man. Like, if I'm running from something in a survival horror game and the camera angle is what gets me killed, that's not the kind of frustration I want for a game like this.
That feels very much in line with the Resident Evil games, actually, with those fixed camera angles. And it's like, you got to know when you cross that one corridor, you're going to go to a front view and you're going to have to hold forward instead of like whatever way you were holding before. Yeah, that is disorienting for sure. But it's almost like part of the charm of this, if you want to call it that. If you're looking at it from a completely like retro standpoint of like, I want it to feel like these old games, then that definitely would. That would be completely in line with how that felt.
Yes. I mean, I understand it from like that point of view. I think just as far as like player satisfaction though, like it's one of those things that would keep me from wanting to play more because it's just like too frustrating, right? Like, and I'm not saying that's the case for anybody. I see the idea of like, if we're trying to create like a perfect homage to something that came before, then we're going to use the same tricks and tactics and, whatever else. But it's like, okay, so on paper you did that, and on paper that's a good homage, but like, does it feel good to play it? And I would argue that no, it does not feel that great. So it's like, are you going for homage, or do you want a game that pays some homage and is also fun to play? So I think experience, very cool. The camera angles, very frustrating. So like, if there was a way to like toggle that off, I would be all over this, because they like right at the get-go, when you start this game, there's a lot of settings that they let you adjust right away. But the fixed angles, I don't think was a thing that you could have adjusted. So if they add that though, I'm all over it. I would play more of this because I'm super into this story and it is super creepy and I love that.
Are any of the camera angles like adjustable, or are they all locked?
No, I think they're all pretty much locked. So it's like, the only thing that you get to adjust is like right at the beginning before you start playing the game. You can choose one. Do you want it to be kind of a pixelated look, or do you want it to be more of like a smooth polygonal look? And then you can choose sort of that over the shoulder view, or you can choose like the more tank kind of viewpoint. But as far as like the fixed camera angle thing, I don't think that was something you could toggle on or off. I don't remember though, but
the
I don't
tank
think
controls with like the slowness.
Yeah.
Yep. It's interesting. When you say like pixel versus smooth, is that just like throwing a CRT filter over, or does it like change the actual graphic?
No, it's more of like it's more of a filter, like CRT, but it does look like quite a bit more pixelated than just straight up CRT. So, I would say like everything looks like a little more chunky, more grainy. So yeah, like I'm trying to disseminate how to explain that more, but I think it's more of a case of you just have to kind of see like a side by side. There's also like these really interesting like cuts in between it where it does like this like VHS style effect where it almost looks like you're watching like an old VHS film that you threw into a VCR that's like maybe slightly damaged. And I love when they do those cuts because it just really adds to the immersion of this thing. Like I like that a lot.
Yeah, this looks interesting. Again, I don't know if it's like a for me game, but I at least appreciate the effort that went into it, especially the effort that went into honoring so many games of the past and just like having that nostalgic feeling of like, this feels like it would fit right in to that group.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
For better or for worse with some of the camera things, but
yeah. I mean, I love when people, do like experiment and make things like this. Like Crow Country was like such a cool thing. And like, I don't mean to just keep comparing, but this is like, just reminds me so much of that because it's just like, similar visuals and stuff and like similar, just like feeling of like, well, because they're both paying homage to the same games, with Silent Hill and Resident Evil. So, it's hard not to compare them, but yeah, I'm digging this kind of, revitalization of that sort of genre and style for sure.
Yeah. And Crow Country was more like the chibi style kind of Final Fantasy VII graphics, whereas this one's more like Lara Croft PS1 Tomb Raider graphics.
Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. There was one more that I was going to talk about. This game that I played and I had a really good time with, had a simple premise, worked great. I was so ready to talk about it. And then I had realized that they used AI to generate the art assets. So guess what? You're not getting any support from me.
Oh,
so
I thought the game was literally what you had titled it there. And I was like,
bad AI.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, why wouldn't you assume that's AI?
Yeah.
But I see now you're just mentioning that.
I did not put the title in.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, here's the thing, folks. I understand AI as a means of controlling NPCs, generating NPC dialogue or actions or something that I don't really have a problem with. But I definitely draw the line is graphics and creating, physical, I say physical, it's digital, but creating art and stuff like that. There's so many resources out there you can utilize in places like itch.io. They have a ton. There's tons of awesome artists that you can hire. And if you don't have the budget, I get it, money's tight for everybody, but plenty of other indie devs are out there working hard for that, campaigning for it, setting up Kickstarters. You can do so many things. Don't use an app that steals pieces of other people's work and call it your own. That sucks. So yeah, we're not gonna support that kind of stuff. And I'm sorry too to every once in a while we'll get an indie dev that sends us a game. And they'll kind of disclose it softly, or they won't at all. And then I'll look it up on Steam, and I'm like, I'm sorry, we can't talk about your game. But just know, if you're using assets like that, we're gonna leave it behind.
Yeah, I don't know what the healthy amount to use something like that is. I mean, I say healthy, but what the ethical amount of using something like that is, because it's the art side, obviously, leave that to humans, to people who actually need that work and are looking for it and would do it for probably very affordable prices. And but on the writing side of things, I can't discount writers out of things either, even though I'm not a writer. So it's harder for me to look at it like that. I at least understand it's oh yeah, we need people to write these things too. Really, AI should be done for, I want to say more coding and stuff, but then I'm okay, well then there's also coders, but are those really humans? Oh, yeah. It's hard to tell anymore.
My thought, when I was talking about for NPCs and stuff, my thought wasn't generating dialogue. My thought was more of using a language model in the idea of adapting to what the player is doing or something that. I kind of understand as far as creating a sense of immersion within the game. And maybe that is still crossing a line. Maybe that's somewhat hypocritical. I'm not sure, but
I have no idea. It's a slippery slope.
Yeah. I mean, it is. It's hard to really, conceptualize where that line should be.
The hardest part is that it's going to keep on moving whether we want it to or not. So it's at a certain point we have to find a healthy way to include that into things where it's not going to be just completely I have stolen this job from someone, or this robot has stolen this job from someone. The AI took my job. So it's all right,
they took her gerb.
Took my gerb. And so I don't know. I'm not going to hark on it too much more unless we run into a situation like that where, like you said, we don't talk about a game because of it. But generally speaking, I just won't mention it. And just know that we're probably not going to play a game that is heavily using AI in any way, or even lightly, depending on the case.
Yep.
So I haven't played nearly as much as you. I will say a lot of my time has been in Peak again, which I finally got to the top of the mountain. During a regular run. Yeah, I had Bing Bong with me. My girlfriend and I went through it together, Callie, and I the fact that we got through it together was super cool. And that was our first try that day, which is that just feels so good to not have to go back in over and over again. And then after she left, I jumped in it again and got my second clear. And I was oh my God, am I just good at this game now? Have I just gotten better? And I don't know if that's the case, or if I just got, those mountains were just pretty, well, I won't say easy, but they were just more forgiving, or I just got luckier on that day. But that is super satisfying once you get to the top, especially with Bing Bong, because when you do that, it unlocks a different sort of hat for you. And I also found out when you do it solo, which I did as my second run, you get a lone wolf badge.
Oh, yeah.
And you get little wolf ears as a hat from that. So I was oh, cool. I didn't even realize that. And you also start
Adorable.
getting like ascension things, which is like any roguelike, you've got it makes it harder and harder as you go. And I played it on Ascension 1, which is what happened after we beat it the first time. And that just makes it where like falls do more damage to you. And I just luckily didn't fall very much. But I made it through with Ascension 1, and that unlocked a new sash for me. So now I'm a rabbit scout is what it's called. So I guess like as you do the ascensions, you just get like upgraded in your like scout rank, which I thought was cool. And it changes the color of your sash. And maybe there will be other things that happen. Also, I'm not sure. I just beat the first ascension, but that was a fun time. And I'm going to keep jumping in and out of that game. I might not bring it up all the time on the show, but right now it's still very fresh and I am still having a great time with it.
It's a fun game, man. I think there's 10 ascension ranks. I could be wrong.
I think you're right. Last I saw. Yeah. And so it's like, will I ever get that good? Probably not. But will I at least try to get to 5 or so? I think that is probably my general cutoff for things like that, where it's like, okay, now I'm not having fun. Now I'm just feeling tortured.
Yeah. Once you like, you slip just a little bit and then that just instantly kills you.
Yeah. Or like, where it's like, is this going to be the fog is rising faster? So I need to just hurry the hell up. Or is it like the Scoutmaster is constantly chasing you? I don't know what these ascensions are going to look like, but I know it's going to be stacking just like anything else, where it's like, okay, I'm taking more fall damage and this is happening and this is happening. So it's like, I don't know what my cutoff is yet, is my point. But so far, so good. The other game, one of the other games I jumped into was Atomic Owl, which had just come out and really like only has 8 reviews right now. So I don't know what the general consensus of it is. I think generally positive, but out of 8 people, like that's not a good enough sample size to really judge anything. I jumped into it and picked it up because 1, it was on sale for 20% off. So it was like $16 and I like the look of it. It's got this cool, like it's a side scrolling, like precision, like cyberpunk precision platformer sort of deal. And it is an action roguelike as well. And I'm always going to fall into that trap. But in this one, you are literally like a samurai owl who is trying to save your friends who have been like taken over in some way, mind controlled by the big bad or whoever that is. And so you're just going through these levels as a samurai owl doing different things. You do have like wings where you can use to like hover in different things or like get some kind of like extra jump height and things. I didn't play a ton of this, but I like the like pixelated view of it. The visuals are great. The gameplay seemed pretty strong, at least what I've played so far. And I am looking forward to playing more of it. I just don't have much to report on yet, aside from so far so good.
You had me at Samurai Owl. That's just cool.
Yeah, you'll see the cover image and some of the screenshots, and you'll probably know if it's a For You game or not. Whoever's looking at it.
Yeah, that's just like another like 90s cartoon coded thing right now. Just like a samurai owl. Yes, please.
Also, you get your companion that is a sentient magical sword. And that's the one who is, since you're more of it, you're not a silent protagonist, but you're an owl of few words. And so your sword is doing all the talking. It's any of those pairings where it's like, Vampire Hunter D and his hand, it's doing all the talking. Then it's like, I'm trying to think of any other examples of that. There are a ton of examples of just like that buddy, almost like buddy cop thing going on where it's like you've got your quiet guy and then your wisecracking like sidekick. And that's what this sword is to you so far. So yeah. It seems really cool, and I'm looking forward to jumping in more.
Sounds awesome, man. That just reminded me when you were talking about Vampire Hunter D. It just reminded me of this time that we were streaming, and I don't know why like this memory is so vivid to me. I think we were streaming Diddy Kong Racing. And someone in our chat was like, hey, have you seen this new anime, Goblin D? And you got so excited because you're like, oh my God, that Goblin D, that sounds so cool. Like, that sounds like something I'd be really into. What's it about? And then he goes, Goblin D's nuts. And the drop in like your face,
the disappointment
was like something I've never seen before.
which now
you're so sad.
Now that they have like, what is that one Goblin Slayer? Like,
Yeah.
that's what I was hoping for, was something like that level of cool. But because I like goblins, but not Goblin D's nuts.
Final round.
Let's talk about some upcoming indie games we're excited about. I have one that's coming up really soon, and then one that's coming up in September I wanted to mention real quick. So the first one is Whisper Mountain Outbreak. This comes out on August 11th. And this is basically, because we were talking about some like Resident Evil-ish kind of stuff already on this episode, this is basically like a 4-player 2.5D pixel art Resident Evil. Looks really bloody, looks really crazy, looks really cool. Like, I think this would be a lot of fun to play with a group. The other one I wanted to bring up is called Goblin Cleanup. So I'm keeping things topical here. So Goblin Cleanup. This releases on September 18th, though I think this is releasing into early access at that time. This is a co-op cleaning game where you have to clean and rearrange a dungeon before the next adventurers come in to try to complete it again. So it's like sort of like that like Viscera cleanup sort of game, but there's also like you're also dodging like traps, and there's like dragons and other dangers and stuff like that you're trying to like not get killed while you're doing all of this. And it just looks like a really funny time. Just one of those like games that kind of like peak when you get like some folks in there. It's just going to be a lot of laughs. So I'm really excited to see this one when it releases.
Nice. The only one that I want to bring up, only because I just found out it was coming out and that it existed, is called Empire Game Pixel Hero. And while that sounds very unassuming, what excites me about it is that I'm a huge fan of the Heroes of Might and Magic like games just in general.
Yeah.
Which are turn-based strategy, sort of overhead map, like you're in control of a castle, you're recruiting troops, and you're just going around trying to like clear the map and defeat the other, rulers or whatever. And this one is inspired by that, but in like a cute pixelated style. And it looks almost like instead of being turn-based battles, it's almost like auto battler in a way once you get into those battles. But what I like about it is the way that the little, like the leader, the king, whatever, is walking around or is traveling around the map is on their little horseback. They have a set amount of moves they can do per turn. Like that is extremely Heroes of Might and Magic, and it just looks like super cute while also maybe having some cool like strategy elements to it. So that part alone is just like exciting to me, and I haven't seen anything that like really gave me a feeling like Kingdom or like the Heroes of Might and Magic games did recently. So that's just exciting to me. I have no idea if it's going to be good or not. It comes out October 3rd, but there is a demo that I will be immediately adding to my library so that I can try it out, because that is a really cool little game inspired by games I used to play all the time.
Hell yeah, man. Sounds great. I've never really played those.
Oh man. I there was one time when I was living with one of the other Chris's that I know that we literally played a game together of that for 12 hours straight. Like,
jeez, really?
Yeah, because we kind of just like it was a versus game in that way where we're like, okay, we're gonna build our kingdom up and just have like a showdown at the end of this period of time. And so like we just played and gathered resources, built our army up for 12 hours, and just had a final showdown in the center and just like called it based on whoever won that battle. And I lost because he was a necromancer, and he just would kill, as he was killing my troops, he was like re-raising them for his own. So he just had like an endless army, and I had just real base units, but still had a good time. But that's like one of my like fondest memories of playing that game. It's just like the good time we had together with that.
Yeah, I love that.
Game over.
Hey, if you had a good time listening to this episode, stick around for the bumper and learn how you can help support the show and all the things we do here at Sloth Creative. You can also check the show notes for our link tree, which will take you to our social media, Discord, subreddit, merch store, all that cool stuff. Get in touch with us, though, and let us know what indie games you're playing and help us elevate these games so we can help support the indie devs working on them. But that's game over for us. My name's Chris.
I'm Joseph.
And we'll continue on the next episode.
Continue.
Indie Game Arcade is recorded and produced by Sloth Creative. If you're looking for more gaming content, head over to youtube.com/nerdsloth for indie game Let's Plays and recommendations. If you'd like to support the show, head over to patreon.com/nerdsloth, where you can select a pledge and receive access to hundreds of hours of bonus content from everything at Sloth Creative. If you're an indie game developer and would like us to review your game or explore other opportunities, send an email to nerdslothcreative@gmail.com with the subject line Indie Game Arcade. Thanks for listening, and keep supporting indie game devs.